Good morning. Welcome to Success in the West, broadcasting live out of Utah South Studios in St. George, Utah. Thank you for joining us here today. It is a beautiful day outside in St. George, one of the most beautiful places in the world. We are starting to go into fall. You can feel the change outside. And normally when it's just blazing, blistering hot, this is one of the reasons you live in a place like this, because as we get into fall, I mean, it's just absolutely perfect. And it stays this way for about the next 9 months. So it's one of the reasons that people like us live here. Anyway, so thanks for joining us. We do this every week. It's a show we broadcast out of Utah South Studios here in St. George, Utah. And this is Success in the West. And what we do every single week is we bring a couple of businesses in here, entrepreneurs, and talk a little bit about their business, what they're doing, the kinds of successes they're having, and the things they're offering. And so today we have somebody that I'm super excited because he's actually a friend of mine. We've known each other. Actually, we've known each other for, it's been a few years.
It's been a while.
So this is Malcolm Judd. So Malcolm, why don't you take a second and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. But
us.
first, I just want to say how much I love working with Rob. This guy is excited about everything. And I was just talking to him about how great he is. He's so interested and curious, and it's just so fun to work with you. And he's so good at everything he does. From Utah South Studios, from the studio work that you do here, to your live broadcasts and your channels, which you need to check out. Like, it's just awesome. It's like Jordan?
You're talking about Jordan Peterson?
Jordan Peterson. He's like a Jordan Peterson.
Oh, yeah, right. Sure.
Right, to his acting and then to his film production. This guy is
That's so funny.
Top notch.
That's very nice of you to say. And I'll, the check is in the mail.
Oh, yeah, sure. So I run Adventure Family Van Builds. And what an awesome industry to be in. I promote adventure. You want to whittle it down? That's what I do. And we provide that to families who, this industry doesn't really cater to. Families can't really adventure like most people think. I mean, it takes a lot of work to adventure with kids, period.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh, yes. Yeah, if you've ever had kids and you go on vacation, especially if you're trying to do something in the outdoors. I remember the first time I took my 3 daughters camping. And one of them, I was so excited to take her, and she was probably too young. And I remember all of us waking up in a tent at 2:00 in the morning, which is what you frequently do when you're camping, because for me, my feet are cold, and you wake up at 2 a.m. It's dark outside, and everybody's cold, and I'm there in a tent on this daddy-daughter camp out with a bunch of people and with these 3 young girls. And one of them was, like I said, she was probably 2 or something. And I was thinking, I probably shouldn't have brought her on this. But it ended up being a great time in the challenges of it. But I told you after this that other times when I would go, we had a minivan, and I'd kind of like, I think we're just going to go sleep in the van.
Let's go sleep in the van.
Yeah, which is what you offer.
Yes.
It's kind of what's amazing about this stuff, because you actually build these custom vans.
Yeah. Yeah, and really, what's the premise behind it all? It's that 2:00 in the morning experience that every parent knows that has ever wanted to do some sort of adventure with their family. I don't like it. Parents don't like it. You don't want to be 2:00 in the morning and your kid is soaking wet or cold or hungry or tired, and it took work to set that tent up, and it's going to take work to take it down, and then you have to clean it. All of those things just kind of come together into this chaos. That's still fun. You're glad you went on the adventure, but what was the thing that you learned? It was through the trial of the adventure, right? And that doesn't promote more adventure. That's hard work.
Right.
So these vans, and FYI, they are the. I thought I was going to lose my man card when I got into a van, but that's not the case. These vans are awesome, especially if you deck them out. You get the 4-wheel drive, you get the bigger wheels and the bumpers and all the nice things on that. You gain a man card with these. Just for all those guys out there that think trucks are the beginning and end of all, but no. Vans are awesome.
Honestly, when we first got our first minivan. I remember that whole thing. Like,
Well,
oh
whoa!
my gosh!
Don't put it into a minivan.
And it was just the fact that I'd actually gotten to that point where I'm like, I'm getting a minivan. I can't believe I'm actually doing this. And then I ended up loving it. And then I see the stuff though that you guys do, and this is no minivan.
No,
these are you can stand up straight inside the van.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I honestly, I've been to your factory. You've actually brought vans here by the studio before.
Yes.
I remember the first time I saw one of these you brought over was a few years ago, and I was just I was blown away with all the things that you can do building out a van and basically turning it into a mini house.
It really
I mean,
is.
all the features that you put in that thing, I was actually shocked. I knew that I'd seen people put a bed in a van and things like this, but I had no concept of the variety of the advancements that's been done.
Amen. I mean, think about this. I hate sleeping on the ground. I hate sleeping in a cot, right? I don't do that in a van. I have my purple mattress because I sleep well on a purple mattress, right? You can have the conveniences of home on an adventure, right? And you're not spending money walking into and setting up a hotel room and paying for it and all the taxes and time. And it takes effort to go into a hotel room. Yeah, there's some conveniences, but it's still not that easy. And it's expensive. Well, now you've got the hotel room wherever you are. And the cool thing about a van is, and this is different than an RV, is you can spend your time at the trailhead. You don't have to pivot. You don't have to park in some RV campground and then get in a separate vehicle, cram all of the stuff that you need, your lunch and your backpacks and your water, and then drive to the trailhead, and then go on your hike, and then come back, to your RV. No, this is, you drop everything at the trailhead, then you go on your adventure, you come back to your house and your house on wheels, and you go to the next spot. Right? That's the value of a van. Is it's small enough you can go anywhere. But it's big enough, it's accommodating for all of those major features you want to be comfortable.
And it is pretty interesting when you start comparing it to you have the two extremes. You have a tent or a hotel room. and neither one of them is really a great option. You know, the hotel room, you have check-in, check-out times. You've got the frequently pretty dramatic expense. You can actually, I've learned this, you can get very inexpensive hotel rooms, but there's a reason they're inexpensive and you don't want to stay in them.
My wife has told me I can't book any more hotel rooms. I'm terrible at it.
Yeah. So, and that in Airbnbs, these can get really, even Airbnb, oh, that's really inexpensive. And then you get in and you look at it and you're like, oh, and then they have a $40 cleaning charge and then that. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, this is as expensive as any hotel that I'd stay in.
Yeah.
And then I got a tent. But then what you're talking about is you can actually have your entire house, do everything you want to in that thing and go park at the location. That's the part that always gets me every time you talk about that, is that because there's a lot of hiking here in St. George, and we go hiking a lot, and it's nice to be able to take your car, drive up, and park next to the trailhead, and then go.
Yeah.
But if you're in an RV, you can't do it that way.
No.
You're gonna have your RV parked somewhere else, this massive thing, but this is really this beautiful hybrid of things.
I've got buddies who have the 45-foot, fifth wheels, and they've got everything. Toy haulers, they're beautiful, they're wonderful, but they have to plan their trips. Where am I going to stay?
Yep.
How am I going to turn this thing around? Does it have enough room for me?
I've witnessed that very thing before.
Oh my gosh.
Just maneuvering.
Yeah. You have to be an expert. I've helped a couple of people that are just newbies at the trailer pulling options, and we'll stop and be behind them, and they're just backing up and pulling forward and backing up and pull forward. They just can't manage it because they're not used to it. So there's a whole level of skill set you don't have to have in the van because they drive like a regular car.
Right.
They feel like you're driving a regular car. You know, people get scared. Oh, that's a big van. It's tall. No, it feels like a car. It's a little bigger than a car, but it still feels like a car when you're driving.
Yeah, I don't think people actually really appreciate that part of it.
No.
Because it feels, it looks really big, but I've driven these things before, and you get inside, and 10 minutes into it, you're like, this doesn't feel all that different than the car. Actually, unless you drive the car that I drive.
Oh, well, you drive the smallest car.
I drive the smallest car you can
I have a
possibly
four-wheeler
find.
bigger than your car.
But anyway, but to your point, it really doesn't, it just doesn't feel that different than a car. And it'll fit in a parking space. And
it's amazing.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
Just to go along the lines, like, why get a van, right? It's all about the features, right? Convenience is the concept. Simplicity is the concept, but simplicity with convenience, right? I have hot water systems that run entirely on batteries. I have electrical systems that are completely independent of ever having to plug into shore power. You've got solar power, you've got alternator power, and then plenty of power to run microwaves, AC systems that you don't have to plug in to operate. You don't have to have a generator. You just turn the AC on. And for 24 hours on a full battery charge, you have AC, right? And that's a lot of AC, right?
That, by the way, for those that don't realize that, that's really remarkable.
It really is.
I mean, that's amazing that something like that will work like that without having to have some sort of external motor on somewhere. No, I see that all the time.
Yeah.
People that have big RVs and they've got some big generator somewhere that's keeping things rolling.
Absolutely.
So anyway, that's a big deal that you've got things set up that way.
And then you have things like your fridge. We leave our fridge on, right? We drink our own Kool-Aid, right? We drive our own vans because we love them. They are awesome. And all of our improvements come from our own experience. So we keep our refrigerators on all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 a year, right? It is always on. It's amazing because there's enough solar that we get, and then we drive it enough that it keeps the batteries topped off, enough to keep the fridge on, all the other features that we need on all the time.
Now, it's so easy for us to gloss over things because you say it so matter-of-factly, but I want to make sure everybody just heard the word refrigerator.
Yes.
in a van. Okay.
Yes.
There's a refrigerator. You talked about your purple mattress, and I've seen these things. We're talking about the features that you're able to do with, I mean, a sink with running water.
Yeah.
And then you have some other things that we've talked about before, like showers and toilets. And
oh, yes.
So talk a little bit about those things, because that stuff just amazes me.
Well, we pride ourselves on making your van feel like home. And so, we don't just have a standard sink. We have a farmhouse kitchen sink. We have butcher block countertops, acacia butcher block countertops, just beautiful, dark. You can see the grain, live edge countertops. And then we have hot water systems that have instant hot water all the time, and they're only using 200 watts. That's nothing. That's nothing, right? And so you have hot water all the time, whenever you want it. We have these, we just got these. So these are new Tetra Van shower drop downs. It's a shower that folds out from the sink and folds back up.
Whoa, from the sink?
Yeah. So it's right there as soon as you open up the sliding door, there's this, and it's completely smooth. It's hidden. You can't even see it. It's like opening a drawer. But the whole thing pops down. It's a 32-inch power shower pan. And you can stand inside of it, pull up the shower curtain, and you
32 inches.
32. That's
massive.
It's a large.
You can move around a lot at 32 inches.
You really can, and it does.
It's almost 3 feet. So
really
that's interesting.
It's what's valuable for that, especially in the positioning of it, is we have that hot water, right? So when you have small kids and you go to Sand Hollow, your kids are dirty, you got to get the sand out, and if you're outside, they're standing on the pavement or they're standing on the hot sand, and that's not fun. Well, you can pull down that shower pan, put your kids inside, you're still standing outside, you shower them off, and you take care of them before you even get inside the van.
Wow.
Right? So that's such a fun very nice feature that not a lot of people understand that's available, that we offer.
Yeah. Shower in a van.
Shower in a van. But it's a fold-away
amazing.
shower, so it doesn't take
So
up the real estate.
And that's the thing that really amazes me when I look at these things, is the incredible way that you compartmentalize things so that to maximize space.
Yes. For families, specifically. You see so many of these vans, Instagram life, right? A couple, a single guy, a single girl,
Right.
traveling, doing all these amazing things. Well, I'm sorry, you don't see a lot of families doing that. Why? Because it takes effort, and the industry does not cater to families, and we do. Anyway, it's a lot of fun. One more feature I have to tell you about this. Okay, we are now major distributors and installers for Colorado camper pop tops. Okay, and just let me describe this. So we have this 6 foot 3 foot ceiling that is our high roof Mercedes Sprinters. Right. And then on top of that, we have a 5 foot extension. So you now have essentially a second level, a double decker on a van that opens up and closes. So it doesn't take any more space. You leave your AC systems on top. You leave your solar panels on top. You can even put a roof rack on top and carry crap, right? All in a sleek shell that goes on top of the van. So now you have 14 feet of extra bed space on top that you leave your beds, your pillows, your blankets all the way up there. You don't have to fold them up and take up space to store. And it's a whole second level, so you don't have to worry about making beds or having bunk beds or taking up real estate for anything else. So now you have room for extra kitchen space, a larger bed, other features that you might enjoy that would be more comfortable for you.
And from a family thing, it accomplishes two other things. Number one, it's super fun.
Oh, yeah.
Because the kids love that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And number two, and I've seen pictures of this, where your view of wherever you happen to be changes dramatically at that point too.
Yeah.
Rather than being ground level or looking through the windows of the van, which is nice enough as it is because you're already there, but then now you're up what, I don't know how many feet off the ground, 9 feet?
Yeah, well,
feet,
if you get the 4-wheel drive version, it's a 4-inch lift, so you're about 10 feet off the ground right then. Right?
Okay.
So you're 10 feet off the ground, but the canvas is triple walled. So you have an actual insulated wall, so you can use this tent pop-up in the middle of winter or in the middle of summer, because the AC system is above you, right? And the heat is below you, and the heat rises, and AC and cold air falls, right? So it's the perfect situation for extra space. Kids can have their toys and their blankets and their pillows up there. It's awesome.
That does sound awesome. Like we said, especially for a family.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Which
is what like you said, you're catering to. So okay. I want to make sure that we are clear on what you're doing here. You build these things, custom build them for people. In other words, people come to you. They want to have one of these vans built.
Yes.
And then they come to you, and you sit down with them. And here, let's talk through what you're trying to accomplish. What are your goals? So tell us about that process.
Yeah.
How does that work?
So when a client comes to us, we ask them, what is this going to be used for? And then we identify what are the most important aspects that are interesting to them, right? Is it travel? Is it sleep? Is it storage, right? How is this being used? And then we start catering to the features to help them get what they want out of it. Sleeping arrangements, seating arrangements, camping arrangements, whatever that might be. We have a client that has a washer and dryer in her van because she really doesn't want to go to laundromats, and she's tired of her laundry being elsewhere, right? Whatever you want, we can provide. We can build it into your van. And that's the cool part about it, is we're very creative. We know how to optimize the real estate, but at the same time use the real estate to be comfortable and simple. You should check them out. If you ever get a chance, swing by. We're right behind the DMV.
In Hurricane,
right? So we've got plenty of vans that we're working on. We work on 5 vans at a time.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And then people, and they're amazingly affordable, especially when you start putting so many things into it. It's like, it's really, I mean, it's like I said a second ago, it's actually incredible, all the stuff that you guys put into those things. It really blows me away when I watch that. You had one over here, what was it, like a week and a half ago or something, and I got up inside that thing and I just thought, this is, I mean, it was truly amazing. And there is a marvel to it where you're sitting there going, this is so amazing. Mm-hmm. But more importantly, you step in the thing and it is comfortable.
Yes.
I stepped into this thing and there's a chair and a little table to sit at. And I actually sat at the thing and I thought, I could imagine myself easily sitting here with my laptop and doing some work, or doing a live call with somebody or something. I could imagine it. I got inside the thing and I thought, I could just stay here. This actually feels really good.
And there's space for your stuff, man. I mean, stuff is so important to have.
Yeah.
But it's got to be convenient, right? It's not a suitcase where you have to dig down to the bottom of the suitcase to find that one thing that you needed and then put it all back, and now it's all disorganized, right? This is drawers, pantries, cupboards, whatever you need to have a place for your stuff, right? Your clothes, your medicines, your food, right? Your camping supplies. It all has a place. And you still have those major features like hot water and showers and beds and bathrooms and our toilet, which again, I mean, we love our dry flush cassette toilet. It's
I know
amazing.
When I first heard about that was kind of it was shockingly odd, but it was so cool because you put a video of it on, I think it was your Instagram feed or something, of just how that toilet works. It was
17 million
unbelievable.
views.
Yeah, I was kind of amazed at the kind of attention that it gets. But it is. But honestly, when you're talking about something like this, that whole thing of what do you do? Everybody's curious about that. You know, what do you do about using the bathroom in a setting like that? Yeah. And the fact that they have these toilets that run, that interestingly, in some ways seem, in some ways more logical than what we do in our homes right now. I don't know that I would trade it or not, but it is in some ways you look at that and you go, I actually see the logic behind this from an environmental standpoint and a waste management standpoint. In some ways you go, this is actually pretty brilliant.
Well, for those who haven't heard about our dry flush cassette toilets, imagine a diaper genie for adults, right? You use it and then it wraps it up and vacuum seals it. And then you can use it up to 17 times before you just take the secondary bag and throw it away.
Throw it in the garbage.
Yeah.
It seals it completely up,
and
then you throw it in the trash.
No odors.
Yeah, exactly.
No plumbing, right?
That's what I mean when I say that in some ways that even makes more sense than there's strangely it's a less of a hassle in some cases than
it's amazing. For those who want to know more about this, you should swing by. We're hosting the Van Fest coming up.
Okay.
Helping to host the Van Fest. October 26th, 27th, and 28th at the fairgrounds. And we're going to have, it's a festival, so you're going to have music, and we're going to have bands and trick-or-treat options and stuff. You can come out. But then we're going to have all of our vans, plus I think we have 50 other vans that will be there.
Oh my gosh, wow.
To walk through and see what kind of options that you can have. All the different kind of builders, all there, so you can go in and just really get an idea of what van life's about. We even have some full-timers. I mean, talking, they live and they drive everywhere in these vans. And buses. There'll be buses there too. Just amazing.
So real quick, tell us how people get a hold of you. And also, you sell them, but you also rent them.
I do. Yes.
So real quick, tell us about that, and then tell us how people get a hold of both things.
Gotcha. So let me just explain our rental. right? You can rent the van and choose your own adventure. And we have vans for all sizes. We have a van that can sleep 8 people in a van.
Wow.
Right? A 170, this is not a very big van, but we've got bunk beds, bed lifts, and dinettes that all fold out so you can sleep and accommodate. Plus it still has the kitchen sink. Plus it still has the bathroom. Plus it still has all the features like AC and heat and whatnot. So, and then, we have vans for couples, and we have vans for, large or small families that you can just rent. But what we've just started now is a tour package where we build your adventure. We say these are the best places to visit because we love our area so much. We love Utah so much. We have gone to every major attraction in 16 counties out of the 29 counties in Utah and documented everything that you can possibly do. You can go spelunking on the West Desert over by Juab, or you can go all the way over to Grant County and see some things that just you don't really see where the crowds are. Right? So many people are enamored with Zion National Park, but they don't realize there are almost as amazing features, right, that are just right next door. But everybody goes to Zion because that's what they've been told. So we build into these tour packages things that are out of the way, that are just as amazing, that don't have a lot of people. Right? So we really customize this to have a beautiful experience, to see some amazing things, and it's all done for you. You park here, you eat here, you play here for X amount of days.
So somebody either, whether coming in from out of town or somebody that already lives here could rent a van. They already have everything planned out, which, by the way, when you told me about all this stuff, that was the thing that jumped out to me the most, because I have planned many, many times vacations and things, and getting online and searching for the out of the way place that nobody knows about and trying to figure out what to do and how and have it all planned out. The fact that you've actually done that work already.
Yeah.
So basically, here's your van, here's what you're going to go do, and here's how to get there. And I thought that's actually would be a real blessing for somebody, especially somebody that's got a family or a couple that wants to go experience something for a few days. You've already laid that out. So that's actually kind of a big deal.
You think about this is what blows me away. We live in some of the most amazing country.
Yeah.
And nobody knows anything.
So true.
It's crazy. And like you talk to somebody random off the street, hey, have you ever been to Yan Flats Candy Cliffs? What? Yankee Doodle. What? Kolob Terrace. The Bone Cave. Any of these other cool
places.
places.
All around you.
And it's right here.
It's here.
Nobody knows. And everybody goes to Dixie Rock, right? Oh, yeah, we went hiking. We went to St. George. We went to Dixie Rock, right? Well, they missed so much. And there's so much that you can show them, and nobody knows about them, right? So if you want to know where to go and a means to get there, call us. We'd love to help you.
So with that, as we wrap up, tell us on both those things, how do people get a hold of you?
Yeah. www.afvbuilds.com.
Which is this right here.
That's it.
afvbuilds.com.
Okay. America's funniest home videos, but it's Venture Family Van Builds, okay? Easy to remember. afvbuilds.com has our rental options on there, has our build options, and our current inventory that we're selling. So
that's awesome.
Great way to get a hold of us.
Cool. Thanks for being here, Malcolm.
Fantastic. I love working with you guys.
I love that. This stuff is so interesting to me. The van stuff, what you've done with it, I love it. So anyway, thanks for taking the time.
Of course.
Hey, and thanks for watching us. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes with another amazing guest. And thanks for being with us, and we'll talk to you in a minute.
Years ago, I sent out a text message to several people that I know, and I asked the question, if your life is going poorly, what's one thing you can do to be happy? And with the exception of one person who said, buy a new pair of shoes, everyone else said, do something for someone else. One of the ways that we give is with money. We write a check to charity. Charitable organizations around the world receive our money, and they do good with that. Unfortunately, all too often, that creates a sense of entitlement. Let me explain what I mean by that. One of the largest problems in the world is access to fresh, clean water. It is a major worldwide crisis. Dozens and dozens of organizations exist solely to drill wells to solve that problem. Did you know that 60% of all wells that have been drilled in the last decade no longer are in service. The reason is the drill rig pulls up, it drills the well, they cap it off, they put a pump, and they drive away. The recipients of that well have had no part of that process. They have no idea what to do when that well breaks. The reason we created Koken Cares is to solve that problem. Koken is a Japanese word which means contribution. The giver and the receiver, they both need to contribute. So if we can pair the giver and the receiver, and both are contributing what they can, then when that well breaks, they know how to fix it. 100% of the wells that we have drilled in the last decade are still in service today. So a lot of people ask, how can I get involved? There's really 3 ways. Number 1, come with us. Come on a humanitarian trek. Experience what we do firsthand. But that can be a lot to ask. If you can't do that, then please contribute financially. Every well that we drill is $8,000. Every well we drill serves 1,000 to 2,000 people permanently, and we solve the water crisis for them for their lifetime. And then number 3 is just join the community. Go to kokencares.org, sign up, and that's where you'll receive updates, information, everything that you can do to contribute. I'm Steve Haycock, and I'm the founder of Koken Cares.
I think at Hearing and Balance Doctors, we understand that our patients deserve comprehensive care by a team that really cares for them.
A team of doctors, a team of audiology assistants that wants to see you do your very best. Not just one day at a time, but every single day.
We consider the care that we provide to be the gold standard in the whole industry. We are staffed entirely by doctors of audiology, who are the highest trained professionals to deal with issues of hearing loss, of ringing in the ears, of dizziness, of vertigo.
We specialize in anything involving the inner ear. And the inner ear comprises our balance organ, but it also has the auditory functions and how do we connect with people.
Hearing healthcare can be quite complex. Issues of balance, issues of hearing loss, issues of ringing in the ear can often be interconnected.
Easily would be 10 to 15% of our patients who came in for one thing leave having more comprehensive care.
People think they may just have a simple issue of hearing loss. There may be deeper issues at play.
When you say audiology, it literally says our name of our clinic, Hearing and Balance Doctors, and that's who we are.
And the team approach that we take in providing quality care, I believe, is second to none.
Hey there, welcome to Utah South Studios, the home of Thick and Mystic Media. I'm Robert John Hadfield. I want to invite you, yes you, to join me right here. Every single Tuesday from 10 to 11, we're going to do a live broadcast out of the studio here, and we'd like to invite you to join me here to talk about your business live broadcast out of the studio onto various social media platforms. The way to get involved with this is contact us, give us a phone call, message us, and let's get you on the calendar. It is absolutely free. The reason we're doing this is because by giving exposure to your company through this live show, we get exposure for the studio. Anyway, we look forward to talking to you. Thank you very much and have a fantastic day.
Crushed heart chained to rhythm and blues, forgetting your name with every move. I'm broken, but all I wanna do is dance, dance through it, dance, dance through it. I was stuck running through emotions that you left behind. Put on that dress inside my closet that you never liked.
Where speed often takes precedence, there's a place where time slows down and dreams are crafted with care. This is our sanctuary of creation, where we don't just build camper vans. We build bonds that tie families together, journeys that are etched into the very fabric of time. The heart of our craftsmanship lies not only in the materials we use, but in the unity of purpose that defines us. Every curve, every surface, every detail is infused with our commitment to quality, not just because it's our job, but because we understand the value of memories made within these walls. Our mission is not just to build a vehicle, but to create an experience that transcends the ordinary, to design spaces that witness the growth of families. Every innovation we incorporate is a heartfelt tribute to the families who embrace life's adventures with a spirit of togetherness. Adventure Family Vans. Your van, your way, with your family.
Hey, welcome back to Success in the West. We're here at Utah South Studios broadcasting live. We're getting into the fall. Can you believe it? It's hard to imagine that we're actually through the summer and fall time is coming and it's actually really nice outside. And so anyway, thanks for joining us here today. We're in St. George, Utah, God's country. We love it here. And we've got somebody. One of the things that people realize when they come to St. George is that this is a very health-focused town. I mean, we have things like Ironman comes here. We have a marathon that comes here. And if you go around town, you find all kinds of things that are health and nutrition related. And there's a lot of that here. And so we have somebody with us today that I met a couple of weeks ago, and this is Cote, and she's with Katalyst. It's Katalyst Fitness and Movement, and she works in the health industry. And so wanted to talk to you a little bit today about the kinds of things that you do, and how that, I know one of the things you do is you help women that are in that 40 to 50 year age range kind of navigate the natural changes that happen in life during that period. So tell us a little bit more about you and what you do with that.
Sure, and thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great to be here. So I had my own fitness journey, and that's what got me interested into nutrition. And I'd always been active, but things kind of changed. And so that's when I decided to get dialed in on what is it that I need to do. I thought I could do it on my own, and I just wasn't having any success. So that's when I finally reached out and hired a coach and learned what is it that you actually have to do, and that inspired me to become a certified nutrition coach, which then led me down to the fact that it's not just that piece. And so hormones do play a lot into that as well. And so have expanded my education in that as well to help accommodate women that were in the same situation that I am. So navigating the journey through menopause.
There are so many changes that start happening. I didn't realize that men have a version of that too.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of changes that start happening in people's, they're just body overall, their metabolism, all that stuff starts changing. One of the things I know that becomes a really big deal for people is managing their weight. I started dealing with that when I was in my early 20s. And I had people that listen to my podcast know all about my weight loss journey that I went through a long time ago, and then learning how to make the lifestyle changes and things that have now helped me keep it for 30 plus years. But it's not easy, and there really is. Sometimes you just need some guidance on how to manage that. But you do that kind of thing, then help people with that, dealing with that.
Yep,
what are the challenges that most people have when it comes to that part of the journey?
There's several things. So with menopause, your hormones are changing, and with that, your metabolism changes. So naturally, after 40, we start losing muscle. That just happens. And if we don't do something about that, that's going to affect our metabolism. But if we're not doing some kind of a strength training program or weight training, then we are going to be losing that muscle mass. And as we lose that muscle mass, now our body composition changes. We have less muscle on our body, and we have more fat on our body. And so it seems like, overnight, all of a sudden, we've gained weight. We have a belly all of a sudden. And that's a true thing, where as you are going through the changes in your metabolism, but also increased fat mass, we start to store more on our bellies. And for women especially, we're going to have that storage on the belly. And that is when women usually say, I can't get rid of this belly no matter what I do. So yes, you are gaining weight overall everywhere. We have excess fat, but it just becomes more apparent in that region. So.
And it's interesting, you said something a minute ago that is really important to recognize. One of the things that helps us manage calories, weight, is muscle mass, and losing muscle mass, which uses a lot of the calories that you eat, that can have a really detrimental effect on if you're trying to lose weight. Now, one of the things that we've talked about is that people often overlook the importance of training. And so maybe talk a little bit about that, because that is something that is missed a lot.
Yeah. I think the challenge for women that are in their late 40s and early 50s is the idea that we have to eat less and move more, but we don't know exactly what move more means, and we get stuck in this dichotomy of eating very low calories and trying to out cardio or do a ton of cardio, which is not going to be beneficial for your muscle mass. So you really need to be focusing on strength training and shifting that focus, because women will say, well, this used to work for me. And yeah, it did. It worked for me as well. When we just start to make that shift and we can't rely on the cardio anymore. So really it's about kind of pulling that back. Honestly, I see a lot of women that are doing spin class 3 days a week. Then they go to boot camp outside on Saturdays, and they're doing a 3-mile run in the mornings, and they are not losing weight. So it's not the cardio that is helping them lose weight. In fact, it's probably holding them back by not shifting over their training into something more strength related. And so I would recommend shifting out of that cardio and moving more into a strength training program. You still need to do some cardio, but probably not as much as you think that you need to do to lose weight. That's going to be primarily diet. But if we aren't strength training, we are losing that muscle mass. That is so important for longevity, but also for body composition in any kind of weight management. So I recommend 3 days a week of a strength training program, and not hours in the gym. 35 to 45 minutes is all you need.
Really?
That's it. That is honestly it. And hitting that would be a full body strength program. Starting with that, and then if you find you have more time available, you can switch over to a full upper-lower split, where you're doing upper body one day and lower body the next day, and do that 4 times. It really depends on how much time you have available. That's going to be the most effective workout, honestly.
How interesting. And I was mentioning this earlier, but there are, especially here in St. George, there are so many. I mean, you could walk outside and throw a rock and hit a gym. There are a lot of places like that. Mm-hmm. I'm a member of one that's down on, what's the road over there? Summit. Anyway, I go to Summit, and it's interesting. I'm there.
I do too.
Is that where you go?
Yeah.
I'm there. I go there ridiculously early. I usually get there before 4 o'clock in the morning. But
you'll never see me there at 4 o'clock in the morning.
It's really interesting watching. I've talked about this on my podcast before, watching the people that are there at 4 o'clock in the morning, because they're kind of what you would expect, people that never stop working out. But, and I wanted to get back to this though, because there's something really important that people don't really appreciate, and it's the whole running and cardio. Because we do think of that as being the thing that's going to help us, but you start talking about, no, this is more strength training. And is this primarily because of the types of muscles that are being used, or is it mainly because of increasing muscle mass?
So, great question. It's almost like a trick question, because for a man, it's going to be completely different. So a man wouldn't necessarily take this approach, whereas women who are going through menopause have this huge stress response. And so just by the going through hormonal changes, we have this stress. And so adding cardio is adding more stress to the body. And so we don't realize how much stress we are under between work, opening up an email, listening to the news can be a huge stressor.
Interesting.
You have kids, we have parents that we're dealing with or caring for, and there's just a lot that women have on their plate, and so many balls in the air. And so if we can leverage some of those things to actually be a positive, a charge rather than a drain. So that's how I look at that. If we're just draining our energy, and this is super common for women that are going through menopause, they have no energy. They just don't have that drive. And so we're taking that energy into something that we think is going to help, when it's actually not the most beneficial. If we could just flip this around a little bit. So yes, having muscle mass on your body is going to help with your metabolism, but honestly, the biggest driver is for that metabolism is to bring down that stress response so that now your body can adapt in a different way. So
okay. This actually leads us to something really important. You start talking about stress. Talk to me a little bit about mindset, because it seems like that plays such a big part in this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So primarily what we do, yes, we're talking about nutrition. Yes, we're talking about training. But if you don't have the mindset to be open to trying things differently than what you've done before, we get stuck in this trap. Again, this eat less, move more. That's what we know. That's what used to work. And so we have that mindset, I have to do this cardio. I have to do this. I have to eat 1,200 calories, when in fact, it's the opposite. So undoing years of the diets and the habits and thoughts around certain foods, around the scale. So it's a whole nother piece, in addition to leveraging your nutrition, getting a proper training program into place, but also being open and changing your mindset about what we need to do differently. And also saying no sometimes. We as moms, as women, we're like super women, trying to say no instead of saying yes to everything, and putting yourself first is going to be a huge weight off of your shoulders, off of your plate, and just embracing food freedom rather than looking at food as something that we have to restrict. And you hear this a lot, right? I can't have that, or I'm not allowed to have that, or I don't eat carbs, or I'm doing intermittent fasting. And so there's all these things that come up that are actually a huge stressor to the body, but we think that this is what we have to do. And so it's really adjusting that mindset, and then embracing food freedom and abundance rather than scarcity and living just trying to get by on 1,200 calories, which is just not enough for your body to run, but especially for it to run optimally. And so that's really what we're looking for, is to optimize your nutrition and your training so that we can then get your hormones into a balanced place. You can feel amazing, you have plenty of energy, libido comes up, and now we're able to lose weight instead of your body is just storing that weight, is hoarding that, and you're just in a super stressed state. And so if we can get that stress response down, a lot of it does have to do with mindset.
God, this stuff is so important. And you start talking about these 1,200 calories, and sometimes we just look at this number, but it's not just because you could eat a whole bunch of cookies and hit your 1,200 calories, and it's not, and that's worse than a different type of 1,200 calories. And so the whole idea of nutrition, you've said that several times now. To talk a little bit about what the value is there and why this is so important, and why it's so important to have somebody that can explain it to you. Because we do have we have individual habits, and I think we have cultural habits where we all think a particular thing, and yet it's not necessarily right. And so having this knowledge makes a huge difference.
Sure. There's trends, right? So it was fat-free was in
Right.
the 90s, and then it was Atkins, South Beach, where it was more protein focused, still less fat. Then we've moved into kind of a weird keto carnivore thing where it's all fat. And we used to be that we would eat 5 to 6 small meals, right? We're going to stoke that metabolism. And now we've shifted away from that into fasting, where we're going long periods of time without eating. So there's definitely trends. And then, like you said, there's going to be the cultural thing as well. I think it's important to honor your culture and to make sure that you are having the foods that you enjoy. And so coming from a point of abundance rather than scarcity, there's nothing wrong with having a cookie, or there's nothing wrong with having a piece of chocolate. Definitely work that into your diet. You absolutely can have those things. Yes, have your vegetables, right? For sure. Have some fruits, have some vegetables, have some whole grains, predominantly making sure that you're getting at least 30% of your calories from protein. And so shifting that, a lot of women, I find they're eating about 20% of their calories from protein and about 50% from carbs. And honestly, if we could just balance that out, you're going to see great changes to your body composition just by making that one change. But I think that's hard for women to do. We're just used to having, even though we're trying to pull carbs away, I hear that a lot. Oh, I don't have fruit, I don't have bread. But fiber is found in carbs. You're not going to find fiber in protein and fat. So it's really important to just have a balanced diet. And that includes having some of those fun things as well. But we get lost on what to even eat anymore because we've heard we can't have these things. So I get it. It's confusing.
And that plays into this whole scarcity mindset that you talked about, which is the can't rather than the can, which can just kind of take you down a bad road.
Yeah.
from a nutrition standpoint and managing your food, et cetera, et cetera. So the other thing I know that you talk about is hormones. And we haven't talked a lot about that here yet. And that is, when you get to that point in your life, there is a pretty dramatic change that takes place.
Yeah.
And what kind of impact does that have on you, and what in the world do you do about it?
Yeah, thank you very much for asking that. So as far as the impact, if you can remember what happened in puberty, right, things were just crazy and just very tumultuous. It's the same thing that we're dealing with. Now we have a lack of estrogen and progesterone. Progesterone is the hormone that's going to be calming and helps you sleep. Estrogen is going to when we see things like hot flashes and night sweats, this is due to lack of estrogen. And so these all decline, as well as testosterone. So women need testosterone as well, and that really just kind of tanks out. So it will go up and down just like it would with a normal menstrual cycle. But now when we don't have those cycles anymore, it's because we've lost those hormones. And so every woman is going to react differently, but the most common symptoms are going to be hot flashes, night sweats, trouble sleeping, and then we start to see loss of sex drive, that loss of libido. A lot of times we see thyroid issues coming up, and so just fatigue, brain fog, and so there's a whole host of symptoms that come along. Hair loss is a big one, and it's a natural progression. Everyone is going to go through it, and how you react is going to be largely dependent on your lifestyle. So if you're somebody who's highly stressed, you're probably going to be more prone to the symptoms, right? You're going to feel those harder than somebody who is a little bit more relaxed, who has, kind of a balanced diet, rather than somebody who's always trying to diet or trying to lose weight. So it's it's such a balance, and you're never going to have balanced hormones because we're in a time where they're dropping is what's happening. Perimenopause is the state when they're just all over the place. So kind of like puberty.
What did you call it?
Perimenopause.
Perimenopause.
So that's like the premenopause.
Okay.
That's the premenopause phase. And then menopause would be when you haven't had a cycle for 1 year. And now we don't have that anymore. And so now we're post-menopause.
Interesting.
So-
Okay. Very interesting. So tell me, you work with people all over the place then.
Mm-hmm.
You're located.
I'm online, but I live here in St. George.
Right.
But how I deliver is via Zoom.
No kidding. Are all of your clients that way now?
All of our clients are that way, yeah. The training that I deliver is through an app called Cote. That's where you get your workouts. You're going to know
Okay.
exactly what to do with your workouts. So that's the platform that I use. So it's like having a trainer in your pocket. I am there saying hey, exactly what to do. We also do check-ins, making sure we're looking at form, making sure you're working out appropriately hard. And we use a progressive style of training as far as progressive overload. So that program is always going to be evolving with you. But everything else is online, so via email and Zoom.
Wow, that's amazing. And so you, once again, you're able to work with people really all over the world then.
Yeah.
So I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but I want to know what is the most, if you had to point at what is the most common thing you have to deal with, and where have you seen the most success?
I think the most common issue is the women. I never get the woman who's just like, I sit on my couch eating bonbons and I don't do anything. I don't know why I can't lose weight. That's not the client that I work with. They're like, I eat healthy. I'm intermittent fasting. I don't eat carbs, and I'm doing all this activity, and I cannot lose this weight. In fact, I'm gaining. And so that's what happens is because we get into this spot where we're doing the things that used to work and they just stop working. So what do? We do them harder. I did the same exact thing. I totally did this exact thing. So that I think is one of the most common issues is just not knowing what to do. And when we get into a point where we're looking for so much information, you just Google menopause weight loss, and guess what comes up? You're going to be targeted to heavily through marketing as far as products, and then we're going to be seeing estrogen dominance or having. There's just so many angles that you can go down, right? Different rabbit holes, and then it just becomes conflicting information, and then you just don't even know what to do anymore. So that's really the approach that we take is just a more simple approach. Let's leverage nutrition. Let's get your training in a spot. And then we can take a look at what the response is to your hormones. That is always favorable as far as that goes. And so that's where we start to see success. So I will take a woman who's eating 1,200 calories. I'm going to reverse her up to where she should be optimally at her maintenance calories. She's starting to eat 2,000 calories, and now she has more energy. She starts sleeping better. Digestion improves. Libido comes up. And since she's getting the calories that her body needs, now we see fat coming off. We are not in a diet, but the body's response to that is huge. And so we start to see inches coming off. It's not uncommon for ladies to lose in the first 8 weeks. They can lose 5 inches, 12 inches, 20 inches.
Wow.
So this is a lot off of the body, not being in a dieting phase. So there are different phases to nutrition, but we start everybody off in a maintenance phase to get the hormones in balance as much as possible, and just it's more about the metabolism, honestly, because those work together, metabolism and hormones. When the metabolism is running well, hormones start to balance out. And so yeah,
Wow.
it's very,
Amazing.
I love feeding up my ladies and having them start bringing in all the foods that they took out, and now they're just seeing those inches come off.
That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah, it's fun.
Well, hey, so real quick before we wrap up, how do people get a hold of you? What's the procedure there?
Yeah.
And to get started.
I am on all social outlets, but my website is www.katalystfitness.net. So that's Katalyst with a K. And
It's like on the screen,
Yep.
Katalyst.
yep. I'm at Kathy Katalyst on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I have a podcast called Mastering Menopause where I talk a lot more in depth about what we just talked about today. And I have a free Facebook group that has just about 6,000 members in it called No BS Menopause Secrets. And so if you want some more information, I give away so much free information. I want you to have this information. It's how you apply it, and that's where the coaching comes in.
Right.
Because everybody's going to be individual. I'm not, just because I said, oh, this person was eating 2,000 calories, that doesn't mean that that's where you're going to be, So everybody's different. So we take an individualized approach, but the pillars are definitely going to be that nutrition, the training, and then that accountability and mindset.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, hey, thanks, Kathy. It was a pleasure meeting you. It
Thank
was
you
great
so
having you
much.
here today. So
My
anyway.
pleasure.
All right. So, hey, and thank you for watching us. We're at Utah South Studios in St. George, Utah. And if you are interested in joining us here, get a hold of us on this platform. Go to utahsouthstudios.com or wherever. We'd love to have you. And with that, have yourself a fantastic day.